Hello there, my name's Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the Arry Carto Tank V4 or ACTV4, which I did actually receive directly from the manufacturer, whose forum username is Arry on the UK Vapors forum, but these are also available at www.mojurepublic.com. Before I start, I must point out I did receive it free of charge for the purpose of conducting a review. My opinion of the product remains true, honest and accurate as always. Okay, so let's go straight ahead and show you in a bit more detail. Okay, so here is everything that comes included with the Arry Carto Tank V4 or the ACTV4, with the exception of the cartomizer and the drip tip. You will have to sort of get those yourself. So what you do get though is a modified 510 adapter, a stainless steel cap, a stainless steel tank which holds, I believe it's around sort of 4.5 ml of e-liquid, and you get a selection of O-rings. Now the cap and the tank come with the O-rings already fitted, but they do provide you with sort of 2 spare ones. This smaller O-ring is meant to go around where the 510 threads are, but I've completely and utterly forgot that I was meant to actually be using that. I've not had any leaks whatsoever, so there's a very good chance you may not even need to use that. And you also get this sort of silicone washer, which again, it's more sort of for prevention. If you do happen to sort of get any leaks, then you can sort of place it around the base of the 510 adapter, and that'll basically just sort of help to stop any leakages. But like I said, I've not been using either of these, and I've not had any leaks whatsoever. So hopefully, you know, if you did get one, then you won't need to use them either. Okay, so let's go straight ahead and show you how to assemble it. Right, so the first thing you need to do is puncture a hole in the cartomizer, and this is to basically allow the juice from the tank to enter the cartomizer, otherwise it will all just sort of run dry very quickly. Now there are sort of various punching tools on the, or cartomizer punch tools on the market now, and Arry himself does sell a very nice one, which is what I've used here. Now if you haven't got the luxury of a cartomizer punch tool, what you need to do is get a ruler and measure right from the edge there, so ignore the threads. You want to measure right from the edge 8 millimeters up. Then you get a small nail, hold that in place and give it a whack with a hammer. Or if you've got something like a Dremel with a cutting blade, you can also cut a small slit. If you're going to be using something like thick VG liquids, then it is worth doing one hole or a slot on one side, and also one hole or a slot on the other side as well. So you basically sort of double it up. When you do punch a hole, make sure you don't go too mad, because you don't want to sort of puncture that in a sort of tube there. Otherwise you will get lots of leaking problems. Now once your hole or your slot is punched, you then need to fill the tank up with your e-liquid, fill the cartomizer up with your e-liquid, should I say. And this is because otherwise if you put that straight in without any juice in there, you start pressing the fire button. Obviously it's going to take a little while for the juice to sort of make its way into the cartomizer. And you know, so if you don't sort of pre-fill it, you will get lots of sort of very nasty burnt tasting drags, which aren't the most pleasant. Now this one is already filled up with the my e-liquid, and as you can see, even with the hole there, nothing's sort of pouring out, so you haven't got to sort of worry about that. Now once your hole is punched and your cartomizer is filled up with juice, you then need to add this small O-ring. Now like I said, I haven't used this at all yet, and I've had it for about 7 days, and I've not had any leaks whatsoever. But it is meant to go on there, so for the purpose of the video, I will add it. And that just goes over the top. And you just make it so it's sitting nice and flush. So it should look like that. Okay, so let's crack on. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is insert the cartomizer into the tank. Now if you look right down the very bottom now, you should hopefully be able to see that there's an O-ring which has been sort of inserted into like a recessed sort of groove. You might be able to sort of see it slightly better if I'm getting the right light up there. Hopefully you can see it there. Now when you first put the cartomizer in, when I first got it, it was very stiff, and but I have found that they do sort of relax a little bit over time, so it's not so bad now. But when you're doing it for the first time, what you might want to do is just get a little bit of e-liquid and just sort of smear it around there, or a bit of sort of plain PG if you're worried about getting a bit of juice on your fingers, and that'll act as a bit of a sort of a lube, and it will sort of slot in very nicely then. So you just got to get your cartomiser, feed that down into the bottom now, and then basically just sort of give it a push and it'll pop straight through and click into place. And then from there, I take the adapter and then just screw that onto the cartomiser, and it just holds everything nicely in place. Now I will say, don't go too mad or too tight when you're using these adapters, especially when you're screwing it into the whatever device you're going to be using, because what can happen is that when you then take it off, it'll either be stuck quite fast onto the actual cartomiser thread, or it will come off the cartomiser thread and it'll be stuck quite fast into the threads of whatever device you're using, and it is quite tough to sort of get it off again, so you will need to use like something to sort of grip it with, like a towel or something. So don't go too tight. If you don't go too tight, no problem at all. If you do sort of over tighten it, then you might get yourself into a little bit of a pickle. Okay then, so from there, what I need to do now is then fill it up with my e-liquid. So I'm going to use my last little drop of my peanut butter cup, and literally all you got to do, just put it in the side there and fill it up. And when you do fill it up, I don't think I've got enough left to actually fill the whole tank. I might do actually, but you want to make sure you're not going above those above the threads. And then from there, what you need to do is then add your cap. Now when you're adding the cap on, again, you might find that the O-rings are quite sort of tough. So, but like I said, they do relax over time. So once again, you know, if you feel you need to put a little bit of water in there, or a little bit of plain PG, or you know, if you're a bit reckless like me, then a little bit of e-liquid, and it'll act as a bit of lubricant. And also, when you're screwing this down, screw it down very, very slowly. Literally just sort of as slowly as you possibly can, really, because otherwise the pressure will force juice out the bottom now. But if you do it nice and slowly, hopefully, no e-liquid will be coming out the end now. Shouldn't really hold this at an angle when I'm doing it either. And yep, no e-liquid whatsoever on that end. I've got a little bit of a spillage there, but not too fussed about that. As you can see already, just how much wetter the top of the cartomiser is there, because the e-liquid has now been forced into the cartomiser. And then finally, you just got to take your drip tip and stick that on the end there, if you can. Quite tough. Thank you. And okay, well, you know, I've got a bit of juice leaking out now. 1 second, wipe out my shorts. And there you go. All looking nice if I can get it in focus. Thank you. Yeah, so like I said, I did add a bit too much juice there, and it doesn't help that I'm holding it at an angle either. So if you do happen to get any sort of spillages, then just use your clothes and wipe it all clean, or alternatively do the correct thing and get a bit of paper towel. Okay, so that is the Arry Carto Tank V4. So let's go ahead and see what it vapes like. Okay, so that is the Arry Carto Tank V4. Now, right at the end of that last clip there, you know, I did make a bit of a cock up because obviously I filled it up with e-liquid, and then rather than keeping it nice and straight when I'm putting the lid on, I'm holding it at almost like a 45-degree angle. So it's no wonder, you know, obviously a little bit of juice come out the top there. So obviously when you are doing it for yourself, though, just keep it nice and straight, put that lid on really nice and slowly, and then you won't get any leaks out the bottom, and you definitely won't get any leaks out the top there. So a bit of a faux pas on my part rather than the actual Arry Carto tank. Okay, so I've got a 3 ohm bow cartomiser in there, and because it is quite high resistance, I've got my Pro Vary set at 4.5 volts. Now, if you haven't got like a variable voltage device, you've just got something that outputs a regular sort of voltage, then you're probably better off going for something like a 2 ohm bow cartomiser, because they do work a lot better at the lower voltages. And I've also got it filled up with some 18 milligram strength peanut butter cup e-liquid. Okay, so give you a blast. As you can see, like, you know, vapour-wise, it really does produce a very nice amount of vapour. Whilst, you know, bear in mind, though, it will be very dependent on what sort of e-liquid you're using, what sort of cartomiser you're using, what sort of resistance, what sort of voltage, etc, etc. But, you know, with my setup here, I'm getting plenty of vapour. and flavour too as well, you know, because me personally, I do find that the out of all the cartomisers out there, Bogues are my favourite. Obviously, you know, you can, I'm sure you can use sort of Kangas, etc, etc, as long as they're the same sort of size as the Bogues, or the Bogues XL. Of course, you can also use like the longer ones as well. It's just that the drip tip won't sit nice and flush at the top. It will be sort of sticking out by about, I don't know, about sort of 4 or 5 mil, something like that. So you can use the longer cartomisers as well. Pretty much anything that's around the sort of same size really, and it works a treat. And you know, basically, if you like bow cartomisers or cartomisers in general, but you don't want to sort of fill them up as often, then like this is the answer to your problem basically, because it is the same sort of vaping experience as though you're just sort of vaping a bow on its own, with the exception of you don't have to sort of fill it up quite as often. You know, one of these filled up is lasting me like a full day easily, and still some of the next day as well. Obviously, it will be very dependent on how much you sort of vape personally. But you know, it's just a very nice little gadget, really. Obviously, with the other ones, they used to have the I think it's like polycarbonate sort of clear tube there, so you could actually see how much juice you had. But the problem is that some people, I don't know what sort of e-liquids I was using, because I used that a lot, and I've never had any problems. But some e-liquids were reacting with the polycarbonate and basically sort of causing it to crack. And obviously, that's why I think Arry's gone down the stainless steel route, and these are sort of food grade stainless steel as well, by the way, and it's obviously you've got no chance of it cracking. And really, like the ACTV4 I thought was an absolutely excellent cartomiser tank, and it still is, but I think this is probably the better one to go for, because it's made out of stainless steel. One is you've got no chance of it cracking, and secondly, it is going to last a hell of a lot longer. As long as you look after it, there's no reason why it couldn't last a lifetime, really. Not a great deal else I can really sort of tell you, you know. So if you do fancy trying one of these out for yourself, if you are a member of the UK Vapers Forum, you can contact Arry directly. It's ARRY, that's his forum username. You can also obviously go along to www.mojurepublic.com. Thank you very much for watching, and also come along and visit my website at www.e-cig-reviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers guys, happy vaping, see you later.